السلام عليكم، يعطيكم العافية. أنا الدكتور محمود حماد. بدأنا الحديث عن Language Integrated Query، عن اللينك، وحكينا عن الكونسبت وعن 3 main parts of the link query. وبعدين حكينا عن how to create and execute link query، وحكينا عن where keywords، select keyword، order thereby keyword، وكل واحدة في short video. اليوم راح نحكي عن let keyword، نشوف شو معناها هاي، وراح نشوف كيف how to get data from two data sources. اوكي، راح نحكي عن ال let keyword وراح نحكي عن how to get data from two data sources اللي سوينا احنا so far. We were able to query the data from only one data source. خلينا نروح على الابليكيشن تاعنا، نرجع back again. في عنا query numbers to query data from data source array أو list of integer numbers. Query names, it queries names, string names from data source of strings. وquery students, it query objects اللي هم student in our case. okay. خلينا نروح على query names. okay. خلينا نروح على query names. Again let's let's put this one aside. Let's comment those. خلينا بس عنا ال query names. alright. Just wanna show you the query names. okay. لما نروح على query names، هون حكينا احنا from string row in names أو from name in names, where row that starts with, you know, where the name, you can refactor it, you can rename it the name عشان ما تخربطوش هاي from n or print n. Don't get confused إنه هاي name it has to be same as name. okay. هون حكينا from string name in names، أو إذا ما حطيناش string it's okay. From name in names where name dot either it starts with capital M or small m, and it ends with small h. يعني لو في اسم، لو if we have a last name, زي for example سامح, that starts with مكتوب زي هيك سامح, it ends with capital H, it will not be retrieved. It ends with capital H rather than small h. okay. So it includes the families that ends with capital H, not only small h. or last name ends with capital H. okay. يعني منه نكتب either it starts with small capital M or small m, and it ends with either small h or capital H. okay. And the length or the length is 4. okay. لكن هون نكتب name dot starts with, name dot starts with, name dot starts with, ends with. okay. لو نحكي بدنا بس اللي dot starts with, okay, أو again sorry, that ends with. يعني هون كل مرة احنا بناخذ النيم for okay, وبعدين we convert it to we check if it starts with capital M or small m, capital H or small h, أو اللينك تاعها 4. خلينا نشيلها نشيلها. okay. خلينا نحكي هون عن select name بعدين name dot to upper. يعني احنا بالأخير بدنا نرجع النيم as uppercase. okay. Let's execute this one. نشوف شو بترجع لنا هون. okay. بترجع لنا سامح وميمة محمد ومحمود. okay. right. لأنه عاملين احنا in a descending order. okay. الأفضل من هيك نحط احنا let keyword. في عنا keyword اسمها let. okay. let بدنا شو نسوي؟ بدنا ناخذ هاي النيم وبدنا نعملها to upper. احنا بالأخير بدنا نرجع upper name. let upper name هاي variable عرفته اسمه upper name equals name dot to upper. okay. now أنا عرفت variable جديد اسمه upper اوكي equals name dot to upper. اوكي صار في عندي variable جديد within هاي الكويري، زي ما في عندي name variable جوا الكويري هاي، في عندي upper name هذا another variable معرف في السكوب تاع الكويري هاي. بحكي where، بس بدل ما احكي that starts with either capital M or small m، بحكي dot upper name that starts with M. ما في upper name starts with small m، لأنه upper name معناته name capitalized، and upper name ما في عنا هون small letter، and upper name dot ends with h. Order by name or upper name whatever you want, and then select upper name. اوكي الفرق بين هاي الكويري وبين الكويري اللي كانت موجودة عندنا، اوكي ما بين هاي وما بين الكويري اللي عندنا، انه هاي احنا الابر نيم مرة واحدة بنعمل له تو ابر، وبعدين وي كويري. اوكي يعني مرة واحدة بننفذ التو ابر وبعدين بنشيك عليها select upper name. اوكي بدل ما نيجي نحكي انه name dot to upper for example dot starts with m. اوكي يعني لو واحد ثاني ممكن يجي يحكي هون name dot to name dot or لو واحد ثاني ممكن يجي يكتبها، خلينا نكتبها هون Q1 for example from name in names. ممكن يحكي هون where name dot to upper dot starts with capital M or it starts with or it ends with this one. okay order by خلينا نسوي ذي name، خلينا نحكي name dot to upper name dot to upper descending، هذي هون select name dot to upper. الفرق بين Q1 و Q2 okay in terms of the output both of them are the same، بس هون قال احنا نستدعي تو ابر كثير، نستدعي تو ابر مرة عشان نشيك الستارت with، مرة عشان نشيك الانز with، مرة عشان نعمل اوردر، ومرة عشان to select it. يعني انت بتنفذ تو ابر method multiple times، وهذا الشيء it hurts the performance. Whereas in the second query we only execute that to upper only one time، خزنها في variable اسمه upper name، بعدين بصير نشيك على الupper name، بس we already converted النيم ل upper case. okay. شايفين الفرق؟ هون احنا we execute this one 1 2 3 4 times whereas here we execute two upper only one time. okay. فإذا في عندك huge data and you want to check the upper case of these strings or retrieve the upper case of these strings، الأول إنك تستخدم let keyword. so let it defines a new variable. Alright, I'll keep this one for your record. Let's execute this one. هون برجع عنا سامح لأنه it ends with H، وميمة it ends with H، محمود it starts with M، محمد starts with M، محمود starts with M. Alright guys. okay. واضح الفرق؟ it allows you to define a new variable and then later on you can use that variable في الكويري تاعتك. اوكي هاي الابر. alright نرجع على الدرس تاعنا. هاي let keyword. هسا فينا sometimes we need data from two data sources. okay بدي اروح انا هون let's create a new method بدي اسميها انا public static void two data sources، او خلينا نسميها query two data sources. okay لو انا في عندي two data sources two numbers يعني integer number هاي اسمها vector A vector A equal new integer array وفيها 0 1 2 3 خلينا نخليها كبيرة وأنا have vector B okay vector B فيها 0 1 2 3 okay so I have two arrays or two vectors okay all right void all right هون I want to create a query var q query equals بدنا from vector sorry from vector A I would say from integer A in vector A right also from integer B you don't need to say integer بس نخليها هيك أوضح تكون from vector B هنا خلينا بس select I would say select select A comma B alright select A comma B وبعدين بدي أطبع for each let's make new زي ما سوي new object new I would say new A equal A B equal B right for each I would say object obj in Q alright now I want to just print out obj right let's comment all of those out query two data sources خلينا نطلع شو سوينا هون احنا again we have two arrays أو two vectors vector A and vector B كل واحدة فيها 0 1 2 3 okay في الكويري حكيت from integer A in vector A from integer B in vector B just select new A and B just select those two select A and B يعني okay وبعدين طبعا we execute that query okay let's execute this code we see now we got all combination 0 with 0 0 with 1 1 0 with 2 0 with 3 okay and then 1 with 0 1 with 1 1 with 2 1 with 3 same thing for 2 and then same thing with 3 okay زي اوكي اللي فيكم familiar with the database هاي زي كانك تعمل joining between two tables without where condition okay يعني تعمل cross product ل two data sources okay? So here we got all of these data okay alright so now you can say for example where if you want where whatever you want where A for example less than B or here select A and B where A is less than B so 0 would be B with nothing 1 would be with 0 2 will be a B combined with 2 0 2 1 and then 3 with 0 1 and 2 right 0 where A is less than B 0 less than 1 0 less than 2 0 less than 3 and now 1 less than 2 1 less than 3 2 less than 3 okay so this one is very, very important if you want to do for example if you want to multiply or add these two vectors you can do that right okay so this just to show you how can we query the data from multiple data sources okay now let's assume we have student here all right we have a student object and we have a department object all right we have here a student object. I would like to create a department class, and this department class, it has a public integer did, department ID, and let's make it property get set, and it's public. Did we make this one public? Yeah. This one public string. I would say the name, department name. And also, it's a property with default getter and setter. And then we have a constructor public department. It has an integer did, and it has a string the name. Right. So here I would say public department string d name. Here I'll say this dot did equal did, and this dot dname equal dname. Right. All right. Let's also so now this is what we really need. Yeah, this is what we need. All right. Let me say same public override. This override the toString method, and here let's return just formatted string, string dot format, just the department ID and the department ID, department name, and then this dot did, this dot the name. That's it, right? I think yeah, that's it. Now let's create like 3-4 departments. Let's create like 3 departments. I'm gonna use it in the query students. Okay. So here I would say like public static void. I wanna now create like a array of departments. I create an array of departments. This one is department array. It's called the create departments. Okay. I don't want this one to be public, just private. I only want to use it here, right? And now here department, the departments, okay. Equal new department, right? I would initialize with new department, department number 10, for example, medicine, and new department, for example 20, it's the engineering department, and a new department, this is a number, department number, for example 30, is the software engineering. Let's say this one is the computer science. All right, so here we create new department. What's wrong here? How is this the department? We have integer department and string dname, public department, integer one department name, department, yes. All right. All right, and at the end we're gonna need to return depth. All right. So department department array equal called depth equal new department. Sorry. Okay, now we have an array of departments. The depth equal new department with those 3 departments. All right, and so here when I department array depth equal create departments, right? Now let's change the student class, this student class, to have just department ID, public integer did, and we will put getter and setter. So now the student ID has a department, and then we will add it here, integer did, department ID. Now we'll say that this dot did equals did, right? And we will, one last thing, we need to change the toString of the student. What is the toString of the student? I said that student ID, first name, last name, and here it is age, and then department ID, and then this dot did, right? Department ID. Here let's add department 10, and this one is 30, 30, 30, and then this one is, for example, 20. Okay, so this is a medicine student, software engineering, and then computer science student based on this definition here. All right. So now here's the idea. So now we have, for example, list of students, and we have an array of departments, and let me also create, I don't want to mess up with this one, forget about this. I don't want to mess up with this, my method, just keep it like this. I want to create public static void create students, right? Same thing, I think this one returns, for example, array of students, okay, or list of students, okay. So this one returns list of students. This one, and then it returns the students, okay. So here, instead of this one, I would say instead of this one, I would say create students. It would return to me a list of students, okay. So I don't want to now change this one. I want to create a new method called static void query student department, okay. And in this one, I want to take same as this one, okay. So now we have array of departments, list of students, all right. We need to create a query from students, from SN students, right? From DN departments, right? So this one is a student, you get right or not? And this one is department in departments. I would say just select new S equal or STU equal S, and depth equal D, and that's it, right? Now if you want to execute it, you say for each you have object in Q, say student, right? In Q, just print out that object, okay guys, just print out that object. So what we get here, we have to invoke this method. We have to invoke the query student department, because this is our today's topic, querying the data from two data sources or multiple data sources. Let's execute this one. As you can see, forget about the first one. Forget about this one. All right, executed. So what we got is that we have five students. Okay, student 1, student 2, student 3, student 4, and student 5, and we have 3 departments. So we did like a join between these two data sources without any word condition. Okay, so we did like a cross product between them. So we got 5 students by 3 departments. 5 times 3, we got 15 records here. Okay, so student ID Mahmoud Hamad with department 10, 20, 30. Same thing Hussam with 10, 20, 30. Dua with 10, 20, 30. Nisreen with 10, 20, 30. And what was this? Ali with 10, 20, 30. All right. Now what we really want, we want to match the department ID of the student with the department ID in the department class. Okay, right? Okay. So I want this one to match it with this one and only return this table. So for example, Mahmoud is in the department ID 10. We want this one to be returned. For example, Hussam, his department ID 30, so we only need this record. Again, Dua 30, so we want this record to be returned. Nisreen, department 30, want this record to be returned. Ali Salim, department ID 20, so want this department ID to be returned. Alright, guys. So which means that we want only 5 records. Okay. So if we want to do that, we have to do it in the where condition. Go to query create department below. Alright, so query student department. Here we would say where s dot did equal d dot did, and that's it. It's like a join between these two data sources. Here we got 5 records for each student, his matching department. For each student, his matching department. For each student, his matching department. All right. Now in this case, for example, if you want to print out, I will leave this one for you guys. So if you want to return, for example, report, you would say, for example, first name for f name equal s dot as dot first name, l name equal s dot l name, and then d dot d name, like from the department, and this one is the department. You can do that equal, or you can say, for example, I want student name equals string dot format, and the format will be like student first name space his last name, and then here you would say as dot first name and as dot last name, as dot last name, and okay. So now we have new, we don't have student here, we have new name equals student first name space last name, comma, department, the department name, and semicolon. Alright, let's execute this one. We'll see here we got name Mahmoud Hamad, department medicine, Sam Khalid, department software engineering, and this, right? See, he says it's printed only the full name, the student name, and his department. Alright, so now if you want, for example, only the students in like if you want any order by, again you can do like order by as descending. You can see here, for example, and the as, for example, dot age greater than 15, because all of them are 15, just like 15. Just to show you that you can add anything in the where condition related to the student, or specialized for the department, and order by. If we execute it, we get the same thing, but they will be ordered in a descending order based on their age, because this is compared to that we implemented last time. Okay. All right, guys. Okay, so here today we talked about the let statement, and we talked about getting data from two or multiple, from, I would say, multiple data sources. You can get from 2 or 3, whatever you want. You can do any join condition if you want. Right? I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned from this lesson, and see you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.